I finally get to start gardening. I've spent so much time focusing on projects inside the house, and now I finally get to garden. And I chose the front yard because the backyard is completely shaded. And as you can see, the front yard also gets a fair amount of shade. So I would love advice from all the seasoned gardeners. The first thing I did was I built some garden beds with the help of my friend. I had a lot of scrap wood left over from previous projects, and I was going to build 4 garden beds, but then I realized since this is my first year gardening, maybe I should not be too ambitious. And they turned out really good. I think they're adorable. And I tried to place them in the sunniest spot, but I still need to evaluate just how much sun my front yard gets because it's a fairly shaded area. Now let me show you some of my setup. I used weed barrier, that's only in part of it, but I filled both beds with weed barrier, and then I was gifted a ton of starters and seeds, and I just really went to town, and I would love your advice. So please give me all the advice based on the following assessment. Hello, seasoned gardeners. I would love your help because I'm getting too ambitious and this is my first year of gardening, but I want to give you a rundown of how I've got things set up so that I can get some advice and maybe do better next year. I got a late start. It's about mid-June. I was out of the country, so I couldn't do much. So let me show you what I've planted and where, and you let me know if I've made some mistakes. My eggplant isn't doing so hot. I think a cat got into the garden bed. I've got spring onions in this container. I've got spinach in that one, and it's starting to sprout. Carrots in this one. Is that big enough for carrots? Kale in that one, which it's starting to sprout, and broccoli. And I put these back here in this corner because I was told that they are shade loving and that they would thrive best in a location like that. But I don't know if the pots are big enough. So let me know, because if those pots aren't big enough, then we'll do something different next year. These I just planted some flowering seeds. I don't know if anything is actually gonna come out of these, and I was gonna hang them back up, but I might just put flowers in them later. That's a sweet potato that was given to me by a neighbor. Now, this garden bed is pretty much shaded throughout the day. It gets a little bit of sun in the morning. I put Swiss chard, beets, and lettuce in this one. And I didn't necessarily need another garden bed, but I put it there because my goal is to use up all the space in my yard so that I don't have to mow. So I've got some stepping stones, and I was thinking about putting stepping stones on either side here between the 2 garden beds and just having little stepping stones going all the way back, just to utilize some space. I was thinking about using those gray ones. And something I was thinking, and tell me if this is a bad idea or not, I was gonna lay down my weed barrier, right? And then I was gonna put the stepping stones on top of the weed barrier, and then I was gonna plant some kind of ground cover in between the stepping stones, like periwinkle or something else. However, the grass back here doesn't really get much higher than this because this is a shady area. So I'm wondering if I should even bother with the weed barrier and the ground cover, or if I should just leave the grass alone and just put my stepping stones and maybe just plant other things as I progress. So let me know what you think about that. So questions so far: are those containers big enough for what's planted in there? And should I do a ground cover around the stepping stones or something different? Now in this garden bed, I've planted sedum along the side. I think it's really pretty. I don't like having to use a weed eater, so I'm trying to utilize space in such a way that I don't have to. I've got a little push mower that gets the grass pretty well, but again, it doesn't get too high on this side. Here we've got some zucchini squash, and I planted beans and cucumbers, and as you can see, the seeds are sprouting. I put this netting down because my neighborhood is full of stray cats, and they just love pooping all over my yard. So I also put some cat repellent pellets in my mulch because they love pooping in there. So it smells very nice out here now. It's very citrusy. But anyways, I made a mistake. I planted my tomatoes and my red peppers over here in what I can only assume is the shadiest part of my yard. And correct me if I'm wrong, but those need full sun, right? Oops. Oh well, we'll do better next year. And then here I just used these trays, filled them with soil, and put a bunch of marigold seeds in there. Whether or not they sprout is to be determined, but again, I wanted something bordering the garden beds. And here's my walkway. Look at these beautiful perennials that I bought. I just love them. I hope they all come back. I planted them, I put down a weed barrier, and then I filled in the gaps with mulch. And I guess we'll just see how they do. This little guy's looking a little sad. I've been deadheading regularly, but I wonder if it's just too sunny. I think it's a breed of sunflower that I've got planted there. Okay, and then over here we have my other garden bed. I did the same thing. I planted a bunch of marigolds in the front. These plants I bought at Lowe's. I've got my zucchini squash, a jalapeno, a green bell pepper, and cucumber. And then for some reason I got real excited and ended up throwing seeds in here too. I think those are cucumber seeds. Did I do too much in one bed? Are these guys gonna be compatible with one another? Now this garden bed gets the most sun of anything in my yard, so I probably should have put the tomatoes in this one, right? Anyways, once I realized my tomato mistake, I tried pulling them out and putting them in a pot, and now I'm scared that I've traumatized them. Oh, poor babies. You know, I'm a beginner. Be patient with me. And then I was told garlic likes full sun, so I put that one out in the yard as well. So then, I have my row of herbs. And because this is my first year, I'm trying not to buy a bunch of stuff, so I just used these containers that other plants came in, that my perennials came in. I've got, that's actually peppermint and not cilantro, thyme, sage, rosemary, oregano, cilantro, and basil. This area gets a good amount of sun early in the day. It's about 3 in the afternoon right now, and as you can see, there's very little sun. Are these containers big enough for herbs? I just liked the way it looked with them here in a row in the front yard. I thought it looked cute. And as for the rest of these containers, well, I just put some soil and some flowering seeds in there, mostly because I was trying to keep the cats from pooping in here. That's also why it's full of pine cones, because I can't keep the cats out of my yard. So those are just flowering things. There's really no adequate sun over here. I don't know if I should even be planting anything on this side, considering all the sun comes on this side and it's completely shaded. So yeah, this is my first year of gardening. I would love any feedback. I'm very open to suggestions. And next year, my yard will look even better. I'll have stepping stones and maybe some additional plants. Thanks for all the advice. Now, these edgers are really flimsy and I'm trying to keep them upright. And I'm thinking about planting some kind of decorative grass just all the way along the side, like mondo grass or something else. I kind of want something simple that's not flowering because I don't want to distract from the flowers. Like I had the sedum planted all along the side, and then I noticed it was just way too chaotic and busy. So I pulled it up, I put it somewhere else. Oh, hopefully I didn't traumatize it. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, what do you think? Mondo grass or some other grass to plant along the edges? I think that would look really nice, but I'm open to suggestions. Now, along my fence line here, I don't like the way it looks all bare and sad. And I was gonna plant just some kind of simple grass. This area is completely shaded all day, so anything I plant is gonna have to love shade. I would love to have some kind of flowering bush. What about hydrangeas? They like shade, don't they? Now, this Missouri soil is incredibly rocky. I'd have to dig it up and put some better soil in there, but we'll see how it does. And then in this back corner, I was thinking about putting a little bench or something, some cute little seating thing, because again, I'm trying to use up space in the front yard. And I thought about putting a bird bath. I really like the stone ones. I don't want like a cheap, flimsy one. I want like a nice, classic looking one. Maybe to sit right there in between those two garden beds. What do you think? What would you do with this space? So, I don't know how I feel about these stepping stones. Seems a little out of place. What do you think? Is it dumb? So, I want to put a stone bird bath right there between those two garden beds. Something similar in color. And I want maybe like a little stone bench over there off to the side. And then I thought about filling in these gaps with some kind of ground cover and laying down weed fabric, but I don't know that it's even worth the trouble. They seem a little silly. I'm not sure. I'm undecided about the stones. What do you guys think? So I'm still evaluating this part of my yard. I want to take all this mulch out and I want to fill this with some boxwoods or other type of hardy plant. So I want to put 3 of something tall, kind of that evergreenish look. I can't remember what it is, but this is a pretty shady area. And 2, something that'll grow into slightly larger bushes there. And then I'll probably end up moving these pots either closer to where the sun comes, or I'll just end up stacking them over here where they can get more sunlight. I'd like to put another boxwood here in front. I'm thinking about maybe putting a solar-powered fountain there in the middle. And then I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna remove all of the mulch and then replace it with rocks, because the cats just won't stop digging in it, no matter how hard I try. I got pine cones in there to make it less, pleasing to dig through, to potty in. And I also put down these pellets, and it's working so far, but they always come back. Now over here, I want to plant some boxwoods. I just want something simple, green, and pretty, I want everything on the inside of my little rock, my little stone area to be just green and simple so that I can fill the yard with flowering stuff and it doesn't detract from it. So this side is pretty much shaded all the time. Do boxwoods do okay in shade, or do you think there's something else, something low maintenance? And I probably won't be able to get to any of that project until fall or maybe even spring, because I was told that was the best time to plant them. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. I am open to all of the advice and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching, and here's hoping my first garden is a success.